Hi, welcome. My name is Sonia, and I am on here to show you, basically makeup for mature skin. I'm 52 years old, and I have been using Seint makeup for about 2.5 years. It's a customizable compact. That's why I found it. I was going on a trip, and I needed one compact, and I found it. I fell in love with it, and so I started sharing it. But this video is going to be on this one brush. Seint Makeup has a lot of different brushes, and I've had other videos going over them, but I just want to focus just this video on just this brush and then be watching, and I'll be releasing videos for the other brushes. Show you how you can do your whole face with this. If you've been color matched by me and you're saying to me you only want one brush, this is most likely the brush that I'm going to tell you to get. And I'm going to tell you all of that and more as we get going, and to show you how you can do your whole entire face with this brush. I'm going to assume that you've been color matched and you're using Seint Makeup. I've color matched you. You will get a full explanation on exactly how to use this makeup, and maybe even this video I'm going to slip into the color match response from me. If you don't even know what I'm talking about, there's a link down below that I put in the description, and it talks about getting a color match, and it'll explain everything in there. It's called the Blend Brush, and if you have mature skin, this can be the perfect brush for you, and especially as a beginner. And I'll list the reasons why. This brush is a little bit less dense than a few of our other brushes, so it picks up less product. One of the biggest mistakes you can make with this makeup is putting on too much, so that's why I like this brush. And I also like it because you can use this end to apply in your darker area or an area that you need to color correct. You can also contour with this. You can brighten with this end. And this you can use to put on your highlight colors, your blush, and your bronzer. So that's what I mean by you can use this for everything. And I'm going to show you as we go here what I mean by all of that. So my face is clean. The only thing I have on it is a little bit of our Seint cream, and I do have a sunscreen on. And then I'm going to show you, and I'll explain everything as I go. So if you got your color match and your face is marked by me, I mark where you're going to put your darkest color in blue. You're not left guessing. I mark, and then you just assess your face. Maybe you have some new darker areas or whatever, and that's where you're going to put your darker color. Now I'm in between darker colors right now because I'm losing my tan. So I'm going to actually dip into these two colors, and they would be considered my color corrector or my color that goes in my darker areas. And I'm going to use the small end of the blend brush. Now I have a little bit of a bigger area. It's almost like a butterfly here on my face that I put. It's red here, and it's red on my nose, under my nose. I have some texture and broken capillaries on my chin. So it's a lot of my face that I'm going to put this darker color on. More mature skin, any areas of texture, which would mean like your crinkles, pores, scarring, anything like that, you're going to want to use a darker color, but let me help you with that. So I'm going to dip into each one of those, and I'm going to put on very, very little makeup, tapping very, 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 very gently, and then I'm going to start tapping into my skin. I can't use a sweeping motion because my skin is too mature and it moves too much, and with the amount of texture that I have, pressing in motion is going to be your best friend. And you probably have a smaller area than I do to color correct, so you won't have to tap across as much as I am. So I would rather have you, as you can see, I keep going back to my makeup and I keep pressing in to the highlight colors. It's because I'm putting so little on. I don't want to put, because that first dab, you'll get too much on. So I would rather have you dip more into your highlight colors and tap it around your face than put too much on your face. Okay? So I've got all of this side. You can see how I did it. I did a tapping motion. I have a mark right here from my glasses. I'm going to do this side of my face with the brush, and then I'll speed it up so you don't have to keep watching me. I'm going to use my finger on my under eyes because I get very, very little product. As you can see, like I have such little. I'm still using a darker color because I am of mature nature, 52, like I said, and I do have a lot of texture, meaning fine lines right there. still use a darker color. I can't use a brightener right directly underneath my eyes. And then again here, I have very little. I have broken capillaries and a lot of scarring on my chin. Usually this area right under your nose, you'll find we're all red. I don't know why. Okay, let me look in the mirror, see that I have everything color corrected, and make sure I don't have on too much. And now I'm going to speed it up. Everything is color corrected, or all my redness is gone by the color that I put on there. Now, I don't have any makeup here and I have nothing on my forehead. I'm going to flip this brush over. You did see me after I color corrected kind of press. I would say this is probably more of a medium coverage brush, just on how you use it. It's just it picks up less product because it's more fine. It's not dense. So I'm going to go into my next color. I'm going to put it down here. Now this part of my face doesn't move quite as much. Plus this brush doesn't make my face move too much. So I can do really, see how my face isn't moving? I can just very gently swirl. Forehead doesn't move very much, so I can definitely swirl with just about any brush. But if your forehead is loose or you do have a lot of texture, definitely use a pressing motion. I need to still get my under eye here. If you have dark under eyes, and I've marked for you to put a certain color corrector under there, and if it's a really small area, like you only have like just this little area, it might be an area that you do have to pull out a smaller brush and maybe you can't get it with this because it's too big, or maybe you can use your pinky and do it, whatever. But if you're a once and done person, this could be the brush for you. The amount of coverage that I just got is the amount of coverage I like in general. Especially with mature skin, less is best. Next thing that I go to is bronzer. So I'm again going to take this blend brush and I'm going to put a little bit of bronzer on there. I'm going to put it in my high spots there. This is just warming up my face. My chest and my neck are naturally a little bit darker than my face, so I do need to warm up my face a little bit, but let's just be honest here. I love to have a nice bronzy glow, and I can swirl a little bit with this or just tap depending on how you want to apply it. But again, as long as it's not moving my skin, I don't get too worried about it because see, if you can see, like, which is the best way? See how my skin isn't moving? But you might move your highlight around. So it's probably best just to do tapping and minimal swirling. But you'll see me swirl just a little bit here and there. Okay, that was my bronzer. I'm going to do this part right here because it's usually a little bit lighter. Like right under from where the sun hits you, and then you have that like light spot. So I'm going to do my contour, and I'm just going to flip that brush over to the small end. And here's my contour. This contour is Indigo. I feel like Indigo is a little bit softer than some of the other ones, but you might have to press in just a little bit harder. Our contours tend to be a little bit harder than our highlights. I'm still not putting very much on there though. Like you see me tapping, but I'm tapping so gently. I don't want a lot on there because I would rather go back into my compact and dip more. Find your cheekbone. If you're brand new to contouring, find that cheekbone, and I stop at the corner of my eye because I'm sinking in right here and I have a little bit of a natural shadow and I don't want to accent the natural shadow that is showing my age. So I'm going to stop before the corner of my eye. So see how I'm pressing? If you're going to guess even just a little bit high as to guessing low. See how I'm still pressing? I don't do a lot of sweeping. If I sweep, it is so light Otherwise, you're going to overblend and you won't be able to see your contour. And then I just take it up. Rinse and repeat. You can do just your cheekbones, and that is perfectly fine. Don't feel the pressure that you have to do it all. But if you're going to do your forehead, depending on the size of your forehead, if you have a longer forehead, you're going to go lower. So I am sweeping because my forehead skin is tight. I'm sure eventually it won't be. But I'm doing that, and I flick it up into my hairline. Next, I'm going to put a little bit on there again. And I have some skin, like I talked about, that is falling. And I can even disguise it just a little bit with some contour. So I would go under lightly here, and I'm going to bring it up on top of the sinking skin, the jowl right there. All we're doing is playing with the shadow. See, like I have a natural shadow there? I'm just bringing it up. And then you sweep down. So the only place that you go down is on your jaw. This you go up, your cheeks you go up, the jaw you go down. I'm going to put a little bit more. Don't overload your brush. And I'm going to come on that jowl again and play a little bit with some light here, create a shadow, and I don't go here. I stop right there because I already have this shadow and I don't want to accent it. I'm going under the jaw, up on the jowl, and then go down. And then under the chin and go down. So I feel good about everything. If you made a mistake, don't worry about it. You could always clean up your contour if you feel like you got it too low, whatever. I can show you that in a minute. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of an ombre blush just because I love these two colors. These are beautiful for fall. This is Sandstone and this is Tropicana. I feel like, Tropicana sounds more like that summery color, but I love mixing them. You can put them with your fingers on your cheeks or you can use the brush. I guess I'll do both. Let's put the darker in the back. I'm going to take Sandstone in the back. I'm going to take a different finger and I'm going to take Tropicana in the front. I'm going to take this and I'm going to tap to blend. See how that's blending? So good. For one, it warmed up on my cheek, so it was easily blended. Ooh, I like this. This is fun. Very pretty. So I'm keeping that all above my contour. Make sure your contour is blended. If anything, go almost right where your contour is and just blend it on in. Don't go down into it because then you get too low. And then I just look at my face and then I look right here and be like, oh, maybe I need just a little bit on the apple of my cheek. We all have different shapes. I don't have much of an apple to my cheek, so I only bring it a tiny bit forward. So this time, how about I just take it into the blush and I put a little bit in the back. Okay, and then I'll go into Tropicana like that, and I'll put a little bit in the front. And then I'll just keep tapping. Like I said, if anything, I would rather see you dip more into it than I would have you load your brush up with too much product. Okay, there we got that. And then a little bit on my, it's not an apple. I don't have a cherry. I don't have very much to it. Again, make sure it's all blended to your contour. Okay, there we go. All right, now I told you if you felt like you got your contour too low, this is a bonus, but I want you to show that you can do this with your brush. Take this, now you see how I don't have product left really on there. There might be a tiny bit, but there's not very much because I'm putting such minimal, it stays on the ends. But if you feel like you got a little low right there, you could take either your brightener color or just take your color that you put down here initially. Go right there and you can put a little line and clean it up. So see, the creams are super fixable. And just feather it down. That's all. You can fix it. I promise you. The last thing I can do with this brush, well, I can do more than this, but the last thing I'm going to do with this brush is brighten. So you probably have 3 highlight colors. You would have had your color corrector, or your darker color in blue. Your other color that goes in your lighter areas in yellow, I would have marked them. And then the last one in white would be brightener. I'm going to take this brush, the blend brush again, and I'm going to come straight down into my brightener. Now, I marked brightener on your face in white. That was me, by your picture, being able to see where you have texture. I may have only marked right here. I may have put dots out there. I may have filled in the whole area. If your brightener, the last thing that I'm putting on here with this brush, if your brightener brings out texture, we can always go to a darker brightener, or you need to not apply it in that area. I'm going to take the brightener and I'm going to put it right here, avoiding fine lines. I'm going to take it, I'm going to clean up my eyeshadow and go back to my temple. If you have a lot of fine lines right here, avoid this part. I'm going to clean that up. And I'm going to go into my temple. Now, if you're super tan, I had to be really careful with this. I couldn't use brightener because I had a white streak and that looked silly. But I'm losing it, so I can do that now. I cleaned up that eyeshadow. And then I'm going to take what's on this brush and what I put here. I'm going to take it down a little bit further, about to right here. And then I'm going to go underneath all of my crinkles. See my crinkles? I'm going to go underneath all those. Okay, I'm going to repeat on the other side. I'll speed it up. The other places that you can brighten is down the center of your nose. You can also contour your nose, and this is where you bring that brightness right there, and it makes it look thinner. Up into this area here where you may have frown lines, and above your brows, a little bit here on those, is that like your Cupid bow? And a little bit on your chin. If you're wanting a really thin line right here, you may have to use a smaller brush. You could squeeze this together. If you're like, no, I can only get this one brush, you could squeeze this together and go down the center. I don't worry about a really thin line, so I simply gently go like this. I come up into here. If you have heavy frown lines there or deep frown lines, you may avoid that area. And then I kind of take whatever's left on the brush and I go above my brows. But it all blends. Don't, you want it to all blend. I don't come to this very end of my nose because my nose is bigger. Now, if you put brightener on, again, and you feel like it's adding to your texture, either don't use it in that area or we may have to go darker. Now, I got a little bit too much brightener on my nose, which is fine. I'm not stressed about it at all. I am going to do something, though. I'm going to take a little bit of contour. This is like kind of backwards. And I'm going to put just a little bit right here on this side. And I'm going to put a little bit right here on this side, straight down. And a little bit on the end of my nose. I might start doing it that way. I always tried to do the contour and then the brightener, but I think I might start brightening and then contouring. Okay, and then you can put this also on with your fingers. A little bit on here just because the end of my nose is bigger. So making it darker, it's just, again, it's just an illusion. It's just playing with light. And that's it. One and done brush. You can do your entire face with this. Of course, there are all kind of brushes. Keep watching. Keep watching. For my upcoming videos, I'm going to go over every single brush that we have and how I use them. Really looking forward to it. I am going to take this, though, this perfector sponge, because if you're brand new, I'm probably going to include this in every single video with my brushes. This is kind of that perfect thing to do at the end. It's called a perfector sponge. It is slightly damp. I ran it under water, squeezed it out really good. And now what I'm doing is taking off any excess, but I'm also pressing in my makeup. Like I said, I got a little bit too much brightener down my nose, So this is great. I'll go like this and it'll take all the excess off. If you tend to get too much around your ear or even in this, where you can have those frown lines, it's a really nice way to do that. Under the eyes, all those places that we can get too much makeup that we don't want. So that's it. I'm so glad that you were here. Watch for my other videos. We'll talk to you soon.